There's an ocean all around you. It is not an ocean of water, nor of space, nor of light. It is an ocean of vibration, of pressure, of ceaseless, invisible motion. You are immersed in it every moment of your waking life and every moment of your sleep. You swim through its currents when you walk across a room. Its waves crash against you, pass through you, and are made by you. You cannot see it. You cannot touch it, but you feel it in the deepest chambers of your being. You feel it as the shudder of a distant train, as the warmth of a voice, as the gentle tap of rain against a window pane. We have a name for the experience of this ocean. We call it sound. But what is it truly? What is this fundamental force that paints our world with feeling, that carries our thoughts across space, that can build cities and shatter glass? What is this energy that can lull a child to sleep or announce the collapse of a star? We believe we know sound. We think of it as a property of the world, a thing that happens, a noise, an event, the shout, the whisper, the song, the scream. We have captured it, recorded it, reproduced it. We have made it our servant, our tool, and our art. But this understanding, this comfortable familiarity, is an illusion, a beautiful, functional, and necessary lie that our senses tell us to help us survive. The truth is far stranger, far more profound, and it reaches into the very definition of what it means to be real, what it means to be here, and what it means to listen. The truth is that you have never, not once in your entire life, actually heard anything from the outside world. This is the story of that unseen ocean. It is the story of the waves that shape our reality and the silence that defines it. It is a journey into the architecture of the air, into the physics of vibration, and into the silent, internal theater of the mind where the ghost of a pressure wave is given a name and a meaning. To begin this journey, we must first unlearn what we think we know. We must start with the most basic, most common-sense perception of our world. Consider the room you are in. It is filled with objects. A chair, a table, a wall. They seem solid, stable, and silent. They are present. They are real. And when a sound occurs, a footstep, a closing door, it seems to be a separate event, an intruder into the stillness. This is the great lie, the lie of stillness, the lie of separation. The air in the room is not empty space. It is a substance, a sea of molecules, a chaotic and frantic dance of nitrogen, oxygen, and countless other particles colliding billions of times per second in a storm of motion too fast and too small for us to perceive. Your world is not still. It is a hurricane in a bottle. And what you call sound is not a thing that travels through this chaos. It is a pattern imposed upon it. It is an order, a pulse, a command that ripples through the storm. Imagine dropping a stone into a perfectly still pond. You see the ripples spread out, a wave of energy traveling through the water. The water itself does not travel with the wave. A single drop of water mostly just moves up and down. It is the disturbance, the information that moves outward. Sound is this, but in 3 dimensions. It is a stone dropped into the invisible pond of the air. A clap of your hands does not send a thing called sound to your ears. The clap is a rapid compression of air molecules. That compression pushes on the molecules next to it, which push on the molecules next to them. A wave of high pressure, a compression, races outward at over 700 miles per hour. Behind it, a wave of low pressure, a rarefaction, follows like a shadow. This is all sound is in the physical world. A pressure wave, a disturbance, a rhythmic dance of molecules bumping into their neighbors. Not a thing, not a substance, just a temporary pattern of motion, a ghost in the machine of the atmosphere. It has no color. It has no feeling. It has no meaning. In the silent, objective world of physics, the most beautiful symphony ever composed and the most jarring shriek of metal on metal are fundamentally the same phenomenon. They are just pressure waves, just organized vibrations passing through a medium. This is the first layer of truth, the idea that sound is not an object, but a behavior, a process, a wave. This realization was not immediate. It was a slow dawn in the human mind, a mystery that puzzled philosophers and poets long before it was captured by scientists. For the ancient Greeks, the world was steeped in a kind of cosmic sound. Pythagoras, the poet-mathematician, did not just study the harmonies of vibrating strings on a lyre. He proposed that the planets themselves, in their celestial orbits, must produce a kind of perfect, divine harmony, the musica universalis, or the music of the spheres. This was a universe that did not just contain sound. It was built from it. Harmony, ratio, and vibration were not just properties of music, but the organizing principles of creation itself. A planet's distance from the sun, the proportions of a perfect temple, the virtues of a human soul, all could be understood as a form of resonance, a type of cosmic music. Was this just poetry? Or was it a deep intuition about the nature of reality? An understanding that the universe is not a collection of static things, but a symphony of vibrating fields and dynamic patterns? They heard a whisper of the truth, even if they could not write the equations. They sensed that to understand the world, one must learn to listen to its silence, to its hidden rhythms. For centuries, this poetic vision was all we had. Sound was a mystery, a spirit that traveled on the wind. How fast did it move? Did it move at all? Or was it an instantaneous action? The flash of a distant cannon was seen long before its roar was heard, a clear sign that sound was a laggard compared to light, but its nature remained elusive. The year is 1636. The scientific revolution is stirring. A French friar and mathematician named Marin Mersenne, a man at the center of a web of Europe's greatest thinkers, decides to settle the question. He is an archetype, the measurer. He does not seek poetic truth, but a number, a value. He and his colleagues set up cannons on hills miles apart. They watch for the puff of smoke, and with the most precise clocks they have, their own pulses, they count the seconds until the boom arrives. Through painstaking experiments, measuring echoes, timing shots, Mersenne arrives at a figure. It is remarkably close to the modern value. For the first time, the ghost has been timed. Sound is not instantaneous. It has a speed. It is a physical process bound by the laws of the world. This was a profound demystification. Sound was dragged from the realm of the divine into the world of mechanics. It was a thing that could be measured, calculated, and understood. But as one mystery was solved, a deeper one emerged. If sound is a mechanical process, a wave traveling through a medium, what does the wave itself look like? It is invisible. How can you study the form of something you cannot see? Enter another archetype, the visualizer. Ernst Chladni, a German physicist and musician in the late 18th century. He is not content to simply measure sound. He wants to see its soul. He takes a thin metal plate and sprinkles fine sand or salt upon its surface. Then, he does something extraordinary. He draws a violin bow along the edge of the plate. The plate begins to vibrate, to sing with a pure, clear tone, and the sand, as if by magic, begins to move. It skitters away from the places that are vibrating wildly and settles in the places that are perfectly still. Lines of stillness, nodes, and in an instant, a pattern appears. A breathtakingly beautiful, intricate, geometric shape emerges from the chaos. A star, a mandala, a symmetrical web of exquisite complexity. The hidden geometry of the vibration is made visible. Change the pitch, and the pattern dissolves and reforms into a new, equally complex geometry. These Chladni figures, as they came to be known, were a revelation. They were the fingerprints of the unseen. They proved that sound was not just a wave, but a complex architecture of form and stillness. Every single tone had a hidden shape, a secret body. The journey was deepening. Sound was a mechanical wave. It had a speed. It had a visible geometry. The conceptual framework was building piece by piece. But this new mechanical understanding of sound created a startling paradox, a thought experiment that haunts philosophy to this day. Robert Boyle, the 17th century scientist, placed a bell inside a heavy glass jar. He used a newly invented air pump to slowly remove the air from within. The bell was still there. The clapper was still striking it. The vibration was still happening. But as the air vanished, the sound grew fainter and fainter until it disappeared entirely. There was only silence. This led to the famous question: if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? The classical, mechanical answer is simple and yet profoundly unsatisfying. No, it is not. A falling tree creates pressure waves. It creates vibrations in the ground and in the air. The physical event, the disturbance in the medium, absolutely occurs. But sound, the qualitative experience of hearing a crash, is a neurological event. It is a construct of a mind, an interpretation performed by a brain connected to an ear. Without an ear to receive the wave and a brain to translate it, there is only the silent, meaningless dance of pressure. The experience we call sound is not out there in the world. It is in here, inside of you. This is the core paradox. Sound requires a medium to travel, but it requires a mind to exist. So what is this wave, this ghost we are chasing? Let's dive deeper into its anatomy, its strange and varied forms. We think of sound as a single category of thing, but the reality is a vast spectrum, a taxonomy of the strange, most of which is completely hidden from us. The defining characteristic of sound wave is its frequency, the number of compressions, of vibrations that pass a point per second. We measure this in hertz. In our human ears, these incredibly sensitive yet profoundly limited instruments can only perceive a tiny sliver of the full spectrum. We can hear from about 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. This is our sonic window. Everything outside of it is a silence that is not silent at all. It is simply a vibration our biology has chosen to ignore. Below 20 hertz lies the realm of infrasound, the world of the very slow, the very low, the vibrations we feel more than hear. These are the sounds of giants, the deep, rumbling communication of elephants and whales traveling for miles through the earth and ocean, the growl of a distant volcano, the ominous hum of an impending earthquake, the silent, unsettling vibrations from wind turbines or industrial machinery that can cause feelings of unease, anxiety, or even dread without us ever knowing why. This is a ghost world, a layer of reality that affects our bodies and our minds, but one that never fully enters our consciousness as sound is a pressure we feel in our bones, a phantom presence on the edge of perception. Scientists have even speculated that some supposedly haunted places are simply locations with a strong, persistent infrasonic resonance, a standing wave of low-frequency vibration that creates a physiological sensation of a presence. A ghost made of air. And what lies above our window? Above 20,000 hertz is the frantic, high-pitched world of ultrasound. This is the secret language of bats and dolphins, who paint their world with sound. They emit piercingly high-frequency clicks and listen to the echoes, a process called echolocation. Their brains build a detailed, three-dimensional map of their surroundings from these returning waves. They do not see with light. They see with sound. Can you imagine that? Experiencing the shape, texture, and distance of an object not as a pattern of reflected light, but as a quality of reflected sound? To know the flutter of a moth's wings by the character of the echo it returns? This is a completely different way of being in the world, a reality built from a sense we can barely comprehend. And we have learned to use this unseen sound. We use ultrasound to look inside the human body, to see a developing child in the womb, a ghost image built from high-frequency waves. We use it to clean delicate jewelry, to weld plastics, to break up kidney stones. We have harnessed a vibration that we cannot hear to perform delicate, powerful tasks. So our perceived world of sound is just a tiny island in a vast ocean of vibration, from the slow, continent-sized waves of infrasound to the microscopic, frenetic waves of ultrasound. And even within our island of hearing, there's a hidden complexity. The quality of sound, its unique character, what we call its timbre. Why does a flute playing a middle C sound so different from a violin playing the exact same note? The frequency is the same. The pitch is the same. The difference is in the color of the sound, its timbre. When a violin string vibrates, it doesn't just vibrate as a whole. It also vibrates in halves, in thirds, in quarters, all at the same time. It sings a fundamental note, but it also sings a chorus of quieter, higher-pitched notes called overtones or harmonics. The unique blend of these overtones, which ones are present, and how loud they are relative to each other, is what creates the instrument's distinctive voice. It is the sonic fingerprint. A flute produces very few, simple overtones, giving it a pure, clear sound. A violin is rich with a complex spectrum of overtones, giving it a textured, vibrant character. Your own voice has a unique timbre, a unique cocktail of harmonics that makes you sound like you. This is the secret architecture of a single note. Not a simple wave, but a chord. A complex symphony of vibrations all happening at once. This taxonomy of the strange, from infrasound to harmonics, reveals that sound is not a monolith. It is a universe of complexity, and this universe is governed by a set of beautiful, elegant rules. The rules of the unseen. Sound is a wave, and like any wave, it behaves in predictable ways when it encounters the world. It reflects, it refracts, it diffracts, it interferes. These are not just dry, textbook terms. They are the behaviors that give our sonic world its character and richness. Reflection is the most familiar. It is the echo. A sound wave travels through the air, hits a hard surface like a canyon wall or a large building, and bounces back. Your brain, with astonishing speed, can calculate the delay between the original sound and the echo, giving you a sense of the distance and scale of your environment. An echo is a ghost of a sound, returning to tell you about the shape of the world. But sound is not just bounce off things. It can also bend. This is refraction. Sound waves travel at different speeds through different temperatures and densities of air. On a cool evening, the air near the ground is often colder than the air above it. A sound wave moving upward will enter the warmer air and speed up, causing the wavefront to bend back down toward the ground. This is why sound can seem to carry much further on a quiet evening. The air itself becomes a lens, focusing the sound back to you. The world is whispering its secrets over greater distances. And what happens when a sound wave encounters an obstacle or an opening? It diffracts. It bends and spreads around the edges. This is why you can hear someone talking in the next room, even if you can't see them. The sound waves flow through the doorway like water, spreading out to fill the space you are in. Sound does not need a straight line. It is a persistent ghost that can creep around corners, an insidious messenger that refuses to be blocked. But the strangest behavior of all is interference. What happens when two waves meet? Imagine two identical ripples on a pond, traveling toward each other. When they meet, if the crest of one wave aligns with the crest of the other, they combine. They rise up together, creating a single, larger wave for a moment before passing on. This is constructive interference. In the world of sound, this means that two sound waves can meet and create a louder sound. Two voices in harmony can sound richer and fuller than either one alone. But what if the crest of one wave meets the trough of the other? They cancel each other out. For a moment, the water becomes perfectly flat, still, silent. This is destructive interference. Think about what that means. You can add a sound to a sound and get silence. Not just quiet, but a true null, an absence of vibration. It violates our everyday arithmetic. 1 plus 1 can equal 0. This is the principle behind noise-canceling headphones. A tiny microphone on the outside of the headphone listens to the ambient noise of the world, the drone of an airplane engine, the hum of a crowd. A microchip then instantly generates a new sound wave that is the perfect inverse, the mirror image of that noise. It plays this anti-sound into your ears. The outside noise and the manufactured anti-sound meet, and in a constant, beautiful act of destructive interference, they annihilate each other. You are left in a pocket of engineered silence. a stillness created not by blocking sound, but by fighting sound with more sound. It is a breathtakingly clever trick, a dance of waves conspiring to create nothingness. These are the rules. But how do we know they are real? How do we catch a glimpse of this invisible architecture in action? We have learned to build instruments that let us see the shadows of sound on the wall. The oscilloscope is one such window. It translates the pressure wave of sound into a visual line on a screen. A pure tone from a tuning fork looks like a simple, elegant sine wave, the most fundamental shape in the universe. The complex, jagged waveform of a human voice reveals the rich tapestry of its harmonics. The chaotic scribble of random noise shows a pattern without order. The oscilloscope allows us to see the shape of a sound in time. But an even more profound tool is the spectrogram. A spectrogram does not just show the wave's shape, it dissects the sound into its component parts. It shows frequency on one axis, time on another, and intensity as color or brightness. Reading a spectrogram is like reading a musical score written by the universe itself. On a spectrogram, a bird song is not a single line, but a beautiful, swooping arc of frequencies, a delicate piece of calligraphy. The human voice speaking a single word becomes a complex cloud of shifting bands and colors, revealing the dance of vowels and consonants, the fundamental tone and the cloud of harmonics that give it meaning. This is how we can identify voices, how we can analyze animal communications, how we can see the health of a machine by the sound it makes. The spectrogram peels back the curtain. It takes this single experience of hearing and reveals the intricate, multi-layered reality beneath. It is the scientific equivalent of Chladni's sand, showing us the hidden geometry, the soul of the sound, not in space, but in time and frequency. This deep dive into the mechanics and evidence of sound only amplifies the paradoxes. The more we understand sound as a physical process, the more its interaction with our perception becomes strange and unsettling. Consider the Doppler effect. You stand by the side of a road as a race car approaches. You hear its engine as a high-pitched whine. As it passes you and moves away, the pitch seems to drop dramatically, becoming a low-pitched roar. But did the engine of the car actually change its sound? Of course not. The physical source of the vibration remained constant. So what changed? Your perception. As the car approaches, it is catching up to the very sound waves it is emitting. From your perspective, the waves arrive bunched together, compressed. Your ear and brain interpret this higher frequency of arriving waves as a higher pitch. As the car moves away, it is running away from its own sound waves. They arrive at your ears stretched out, with more space between them. Your brain interprets this lower frequency as a lower pitch. The phenomenon is not in the object. It is not in the air. It is in the relationship between the source and the observer. Your motion, your position, fundamentally changes the nature of the sound you perceive. Reality, at least the sonic reality, is relative. There is no single, objective pitch of the car's engine. There is only the pitch that you experience based on your relationship to it. It is a deeply unsettling idea. The world is not just presenting itself to you. You are co-creating your perception of it through your very presence and motion. An even spookier phenomenon, one that blurs the line between physics and something that feels like magic, is resonance. Every object in the universe has a natural frequency at which it prefers to vibrate. Its resonant frequency. A wine glass has one. A bridge has one. A guitar string has one. It is the object's innate musical note, its secret song. Now, if you produce a sound wave whose frequency perfectly matches the resonant frequency of that object, something remarkable happens. The object will begin to absorb the energy of the sound wave. It will start to vibrate in sympathy without ever being touched. A singer can hold a note that matches the resonant frequency of a crystal glass. The sound waves, these gentle pushes of air, arrive at the glass at the perfect time, over and over again. Each push adds a little more energy to the glass's vibration. The vibration grows, becomes more and more violent. until the forces holding the crystal lattice together are overcome. The glass shatters, destroyed by a whisper, compelled to tear itself apart by a vibration in the air. This is not a brute force attack. It is a subtle seduction. It is finding the secret key to an object's soul and using it to command it. It is action at a distance that feels uncanny. One vibrating thing compelling another to vibrate, a sympathetic ghost crossing the space between them. This behavior, this elegant and sometimes violent dance of waves, often seems to violate our classical, common-sense laws of how the world should work. The most dramatic example is the sound barrier. For an object moving through the air, like an airplane, it is constantly creating sound waves that travel ahead of it at the speed of sound. As the plane goes faster and faster, it begins to catch up to its own sound. The waves in front of it don't have time to get out of the way. They begin to pile up, to compress, to merge into a single, massive shock wave of extremely high pressure. A wall of air, the sound barrier. To a pilot, pushing through this barrier was once thought to be impossible. It was a physical limit. But when an aircraft finally achieved it, when it broke through that wall, it created a phenomenon that defies our normal experience of sound. Once the plane is traveling faster than sound, it is outrunning its own noise. If it flies overhead, you see it pass in complete, eerie silence. The sound it is making has not yet had time to reach you. Then, moments later, that wall of compressed air was pushing in front of it finally arrives. It hits you not as a continuous roar, but as a single, explosive crack. A sonic boom. All the sound the plane created over a long period of travel arrives in a single instant. It is a violation of the linear flow of experience. The cause, the plane, has already passed before you experience the effect, the sound. It is a temporal echo, a thunderclap from a silent sky. But the most profound violation of logic brings us back to the heart of the mystery, the role of the observer. We return to the forest. The tree falls. There's a pressure wave. There is no ear. We said, with the confidence of classical physics, that there is no sound. But let's push this further. What is an ear? It is a magnificent, intricate biological machine. The outer ear acts as a funnel, collecting the faint pressure waves from the air. These waves travel down the ear canal and strike the eardrum, a thin membrane of skin, causing it to vibrate. This vibration is then transferred through a series of 3 tiny, delicate bones in the middle ear, the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. They're the smallest bones in your body, and they act as a mechanical amplifier, increasing the force of the vibration. The last bone, the stirrup, pushes against a small window into the inner ear, the cochlea. The cochlea is a spiral-shaped, fluid-filled chamber that looks like a snail's shell. And it is here that the true miracle occurs. The vibration from the stirrup creates a wave in the fluid of the cochlea. Lining the cochlea are thousands of microscopic hair cells, each tuned to a specific frequency. When the wave in the fluid passes by, it stimulates the hair cells that match its frequency. A high-frequency wave excites the hairs at the base of the spiral. A low-frequency wave excites the hairs at the tip. When a hair cell is stimulated, it does not pass on a sound. It opens a channel. It triggers a chemical reaction. It converts the mechanical energy of the vibration into an electrochemical signal, a spark of electricity. This electrical signal, this abstract pulse of information, is then sent along the auditory nerve to the brain. Think about this chain of events. A pressure wave in the air becomes a mechanical vibration in a membrane. That becomes a mechanical vibration in a set of bones. That becomes a hydraulic wave in a fluid. That becomes the mechanical bending of a tiny hair. That becomes an electrochemical spark. Nowhere in that entire chain is there anything we would call sound, the rich, qualitative experience of your mother's voice, the emotional impact of a symphony, the startling nature of a sudden bang. All of that is created, whole cloth, by your brain. The auditory cortex receives these electrical signals. It analyzes their frequency, their intensity, their timing. It compares them to a lifetime of memories, and it constructs an experience. It paints a picture. It tells you a story about what is happening in the world outside. The sound is a hallucination, a beautiful, incredibly useful, and highly accurate hallucination, but a hallucination nonetheless. It is a model of the world created by your neurons. The measurement, the observation by your biological apparatus, does not just report on reality. It fundamentally creates the reality you experience. So what does this mean for you? This journey from a simple vibration to a complex, observer-created reality is not just an abstract scientific tale. It has profound philosophical implications for what it means to be a person, what it means to be real. We started by deconstructing the world outside. Now, let's deconstruct the self. You think of yourself as a solid, stable being, but you're built from the same principles we have been exploring. You're not a static object. You are a symphony of vibrations. Your heart beats with a low-frequency rhythm, a constant percussive foundation to your life. The blood pulses through your veins in waves. Your lungs create a slow, tidal rhythm of breath. Your brain and nervous system hum with a constant, complex electrical chorus, a resonance of thought and consciousness. And most obviously, you are a source. You're a broadcaster of sound. When you speak, your vocal cords vibrate, chopping the air you exhale into a series of puffs. Your mouth, your tongue, your lips then shape those vibrations, sculpting the raw buzz into the intricate patterns of vowels and consonants. You are literally turning your breath, the stuff of life, into information. You are vibrating the air to send a piece of your mind out into the world. You are creating pressure waves that will travel into the ear of another person, to be decoded and reassembled inside their consciousness. Is there any act more intimate, more fundamentally connective than this? You're using the unseen ocean to ripple the consciousness of another. The words, "I love you," are, in the physical world, just a specific pattern of atmospheric compression and rarefaction. But when received and interpreted by another mind, they can change a life. This brings us to a reevaluation of one of the most fundamental concepts, silence. What is silence? We think of it as an absence, an emptiness, a void. But is true silence even possible? Even in the quietest room, you can hear the sound of your own body, the thumping of your heart, the faint whoosh of your own blood circulating, a sound called the Alicia Basso Continuo. You're a constant source of noise. You can never escape yourself. But what if we could? What if we could enter a place with no echoes, no reverberation, a place designed to absorb every last vibration? Such a place exists. It is called an anechoic chamber. The walls, floor, and ceiling are covered in deep, sound-absorbing wedges of foam. They trap and dissipate over 999% of all sound energy. When the heavy, insulated door closes behind you, the effect is immediate and deeply unsettling. The world falls away. There is no echo, no ambientum. Your voice, when you speak, sounds flat, dead, and unnervingly close. It leaves your mouth and simply vanishes, with no reflection to give you a sense of the space you are in. And then the other sounds emerge, the ones you never knew were there. You hear the high-pitched whine of your nervous system. You hear the gurgle of your digestive system. You hear the creak of your own joints as you shift your weight. People who spend time in anechoic chambers often find the experience unbearable. They become disoriented. They become anxious. Some even begin to hallucinate as the brain, starved of external sensory input, begins to create its own. What does this tell us? It tells us that we are not designed for silence. Our sense of self, our sense of balance, our very sanity is dependent on a constant bath of sound. We define ourselves by the reflections we receive from the world. We need the echo to know the shape of the room. We need the hum of life to feel connected to it. Silence is not an absence of sound. Silence is the canvas upon which sound is painted. It is the necessary contrast that gives sound its meaning. A single note has no power until it is preceded and followed by a moment of stillness. The rest in a piece of music are just as important as the notes. They create the rhythm, the tension, the emotion. Real silence, the true void, is not a state of peace. It is a state of sensory deprivation. Our reality is not defined by stillness, but by the constant, beautiful, and necessary noise of existence. Now we arrive at the edge of science, at the precipice of pure speculation. We have established that the experience of sound is a construction of the mind. Could this connection be even deeper? Could the principles of sound and vibration offer a metaphor, or even a model, for consciousness itself? This is a speculative leap, a poetic exploration rather than a scientific claim. But consider the parallels. What is a thought? It is a pattern, a fleeting, dynamic arrangement of neural firings in the brain. It has no substance. It is not a thing. It is a process, a vibration in the network of your mind. And what is consciousness? The continuous stream of awareness that you call I. Perhaps it is a form of resonance, a vast, impossibly complex standing wave of electrochemical activity, a stable, self-sustaining pattern that emerges from the chaotic firing of billions of neurons, a song that the brain sings to itself. Think about language, the inner monologue that accompanies the thoughts of so many. It is a silent sound, a ghost of your own voice, narrating your existence. Could you think complex, abstract thoughts without this internal language, without this simulation of sound? The very structure of our reality is built upon language, and language is nothing more than order vibration. We have taken the raw, physical phenomenon of a pressure wave and imbued it with syntax, symbolism, and semantics. We have built entire civilizations on the agreement that certain patterns of vibration will mean certain things. Is it possible that consciousness is not just a thing that perceives sound, but a thing that is, in its very structure, like sound? A pattern, not a particle. A harmony, not a hammer. A wave of information processing itself, emerging from the wet, biological medium of the brain. This is the ultimate echo of the Pythagorean dream. Not that the planets sing, but that the mind itself is a form of music, an internal symphony of such complexity that it becomes aware of its own existence. So, after this long journey, where have we arrived? We have spiraled back to our original question, but now we see it in a new light with a new depth. What is sound? Is it a physical wave in a medium, a dance of molecules that can be measured and described by the cold, impartial laws of physics? Yes, it is that. Is it a biological process, a chain of mechanical and chemical translations that turn a vibration into an electrical signal? Yes, it is also that. Is it a psychological phenomenon, a subjective and personal experience created wholly within the silent theater of the mind, painted with memory and emotion? Yes, it is most certainly that. It is none of these things alone, and it is all of them at once. Sound is not a thing. It is a relationship. It is the bridge between the outer world of matter and the inner world of mind. It is the point of contact, the translation layer between the objective and the subjective. Sound does not truly exist until a vibration from the universe meets a mind capable of listening. It is a collaboration, a duet between you and the cosmos. The final, unifying metaphor for sound may be this. It is the language of connection. It is the force that binds us. Light travels in straight lines, demanding a clear path. But sound is generous. It bends around corners. It fills a room. It finds you where you are. It is the medium of community, the carrier of our stories, our warnings, our laughter, our songs. It is the voice of the physical world itself. The whisper of the wind through the leaves is a story about the shape of the trees and the motion of the air. The crack of thunder is a story about the immense electrical discharge in the clouds. The rhythmic crash of waves on a shore is a story about the tides, the wind, and the shape of the ocean floor. To listen, truly listen, is to decode the narrative of the universe. And so we leave you with this, a parting thought, an invitation to a new way of being in your world. The next time you're sitting in what you believe to be silence, stop, close your eyes, and listen. Listen past the obvious noises. Listen for the subtle layers, the distant hum of traffic, the sigh of the wind, the ticking of a clock, the creak of the building as it settles. Then listen deeper. Listen for the sound of your own body, the rhythm of your own breath, the steady, faithful beat of your own heart. This is not noise. This is the symphony of your existence. Each sound is a confirmation that you are here, embedded in a vibrant, dynamic, and interconnected reality. You're not a silent observer looking in from the outside. You are a resonator. You are an instrument. You are a note in the grand, chaotic, and beautiful music of the world. You are never in silence. You are, and always will be, a part of the song.